in my podcast, make interviews for some people that are very successful, and my desire is to share this interview with my community. That's a great community interested in the business. So and the success people person. So I have some question for you, and the first one is basic. Tell us about your story. Today you are a successful man in the business, but what is your story?
How long do you want to take, Jesser?
No. It's your time. It's your time. So,
hey, I'm 69 years old. I have a very big story.
nice.
Let me give you just the I think the key points. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Number one, I was born poor, and I'm so grateful for that.
Perfect.
Because I was hungry, and too many people in the Western world, whether it's North America or whether it's Western Europe or Japan or Korea, the Middle East, Dubai, too many people who are growing up in those countries now don't know what it's like to be hungry. And we'll see sometimes very talented, very intelligent people, but they don't have the fire in their heart to go out and do something big. And you and I both know that if you're going to achieve something significant, it's going to be hard, and you're going to have a lot of ups and downs. And if you don't have a burning desire, you're probably going to bail out during the tough times. So I think a key part of my story is that I was lucky enough to be born in a place and a time that made me build the desire in my heart. Number two, I think that you just cannot be very successful if you don't find the right mentors. Life just takes too long to learn everything by experience. So, if I had to learn everything to be successful by experience, I'd need to live 500 years. But if you can be teachable and coachable, and if you can be the kind of person who seeks out, literally looks for mentors. And I was that kind of person from even in my teenage years. I was always looking and thinking, how did that person do that? And I'd go introduce myself, and I'd ask questions, and I would try to build relationships with people that were very successful. And many times they would just, shoo me away, right? Like I'm a insect bothering them. But sometimes they would say, I like this kid. I like this guy. He wants it. I had one guy, very, very successful man. And I once said to him, I said, his name was Royal. I said, Royal, why did you ever talk with me? And he said, you reminded me of me when I was young. And he said, I loved it. So I wanted to help. And so the second key was seeking out mentors and being willing to learn from them, trying to use other people's experiences. The great Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said that the bitterest way to learn anything is by experience. And the easiest way is by imitation. And so when I would see someone that was very, very good at something that I wanted to do, I sought their help. And if they wouldn't give me their help, I would still study them. I'm still doing that to this day, Jesser. I'm actually doing a deep dive right now on two different business leaders who are both older than me. and they're still cranking it. They're still killing it. They're still doing great things. And I want to understand them. I got 7 books that the Amazon just delivered to me on these guys, and I'm going through these books trying to think, what is it about these guys that makes them at 80 years old still have the fire in the belly? I want to know. I want to learn. And so that
We
second
can know
element of mentors.
who are. We can know
Pardon?
who are. We can know
Well,
who are.
yeah, I don't want to talk about this because every mentor you choose is going to be a mixed bag. They're going to have things that are good about them, and they're going to have, like every person, they're going to have things that are not so good. And so I don't want people thinking that because I chose this mentor, I agree with everything that they do, right? So I'm looking at a very narrow slice of every mentor that I choose. I know they're human. I know that they have aspects to them that I do not want to duplicate.
Okay.
So I go in doing a deep dive, and then I pick out that part that I want to bring into my life. And so as a result, I try not to tell people who I'm studying because I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. Both of these guys are amazing, but in some ways I don't want to be anything like them. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Just one part. The third thing that I would tell you, and nobody really wants to nobody really wants to no really successful person likes to admit this, but part of it is luck. You've got to be able to meet the right people. You've got to be in the right place at the right time. You've got to take action, but you still, I mean, even if you're a guy that takes action aggressively, but you're always, unlucky, you're always a day late, you're always in the wrong place, your action doesn't benefit you. So I believe that every successful person, there's an element of luck. Now, I always joke to people. In fact, I've got this wooden, if I were at my other home, this is in my home in Puerto Rico, I've got this wooden plaque on the wall that says, "I'm such a lucky boy." And that has special meaning to me because I really believe that I'm really lucky. I just, bad things sometimes happen, but I have a lot of really good things happen to me. And I think part of it is like, I can't really say I did anything to deserve that. I'm just lucky, right? But Thomas Jefferson said that he believes in luck, and the harder he worked, the luckier he got. So the lesson to me is that if you want to be lucky, really, really be willing to put in the hours, put in the work. And part of the work is the willingness, and this would be number 4, the willingness to be up against, do you know what sandpaper is? So yeah, so when you want to make a piece of wood smooth, you have a paper that's got a grit on it, sand on it, and you can move it back and forth, and that really makes the wood be smooth. Do you know what's the word for sandpaper?
Sandpaper.
Yeah. So if you're fixing a car and you've put some
I know. It's saying lija. That is lija in Spanish. It's lija to work in the car for paint.
Yeah, and then you put on the and then you're buffing it off, you're shining it off, you're making it smooth.
In Spanish is lija.
Okay. So what I think each human being, you've got to be willing to put yourself up against that sandpaper, right? Because you're rough. You've got bumps all over you, right? You've got rough spots all over you. And every time you go into some kind of a presentation or some kind of a meeting and you're not ready or you're not prepared or you don't do a good job, and you get worked over. You get told no, you get rejected. Nothing good comes. That's like sandpaper. That's like smoothing you out. And if you're
Hmm.
the kind of guy that if that happens to you and you say, I'm done with this, you get
Hmm.
rejected, you get told to leave, you get told, hey, that's some stupid I'd never join those guys. You guys are a bunch of idiots. I can't believe that. You hear that kind of stuff, and a lot of people, they just curl up. They're just like terrified to have other people reject them, or other people mistreat them, or other people say unkind things to them. But to
Mhm.
me, that's the sandpaper,
You
right?
know what? I thinks about that same. I told my mentors, tell me about what kind I need to improve, because I know what I make good. I'm making good. Tell me about what I need to improve. That is my paper, my sandpaper.
Yeah, that's it.
No,
That's it.
it.
And be willing to hear the hard stuff.
Mhm.
So many people, all they want to do is hear clap, 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 clap,
Yeah,
clap.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
so awesome, right? But that doesn't do you any good. You learn nothing from a standing ovation.
Perfect.
Nothing. What you
Wow.
hear is when the people are falling asleep. I remember doing a meeting in Japan, and and I had like half the people in that room were like asleep. I mean, Jester, they were like practically snoring, right? I mean, that was painful. I knew I had to get better. I had to improve my ability to motivate and inspire and uplift people
Wow.
because it was painful. I remember doing a meeting in a guy's house that was a friend of mine, and it was just he had invited, this was the very beginning of my career with the company, and he had invited like 6 or 7 of his friends to his house, and I'm doing this presentation. His wife's in the kitchen, so she's able to hear me, right? But she's not in the room. When it's all done, I mean, the people all left. Nobody signed up, right? And the wife said to me, Stewart, you need to find a new job because you're just not very good at this.
Wow. That was your paper sand.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's just up against your face, and you're getting that painful experience, and it's so good for you. But so many people they run from
Mhm.
it. They run from it, right?
I know
So
that. I know that.
that would be number 4. And the final one I would say is, to me, to be successful, you've got to have stamina, right? So to me, the word stamina, I don't know what the Spanish word is for it, but it's that ability to keep going when you are exhausted. You're tired. Every bone in your body
Hmm.
aches. Every muscle is sore. You're not having success, but you simply won't quit. And I tell people who they say, what's the number one requirement to be successful in Unicity? I'll say, well, it's not your presentation ability, it's not your
Hmm.
sales ability, it's your ability to
To
stay in
continue.
it long
Ooh.
enough to
Yeah.
win. And so many people they're great sprinters, but they can't run the 100-mile race. They
Hmm.
just can't do it. They can give you a brilliant 100-meter dash,
Hmm.
but then they're done. Right?
Mhm.
That's it.
This is a long
Yeah,
win career. It's a 400 1,600-meter career. Is long career, no short career. I tell my distributor all same all the days. This is a long career. This is a career. This is a career. It's a long-term career.
yeah,
So
yeah. And you got to
prepare,
see it that way.
practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So if you have the burning desire, and you willing to go out and get feedback from mentors, and you have a little bit of luck, you're in the right place at the right time, you take action, and you're willing to take the pain of failing and failing and failing, because you're going to learn from the failure. And then you have that final component of stamina where you simply say, I don't care. I'm staying. I mean, I'm either going to be on the top of that mountain or I'm going to be dead along the trail, but I'm not going back down the mountain. I'm not quitting. I'm not turning around and going back. I'm going up or I'm going to die on the way, but I'm not going back. When you have that sort of mindset, that long-term mindset, the universe cannot resist you.
Wow. Wow.
The universe just can't resist you. Sooner or later, it's going to give up and say, all right, shower this guy with success. He deserves it.
You know what? It's incredible because I know that information. I'm studied about that. But every time that I hear again, burn my blood, you know, my skin is skin. How's this in English? Chicken skin.
Goosebumps. Yeah, the goosebumps.
Yeah, chicken skin. So I know this information and it's powerful, and all people need to hear this every day. I think every day. Remember this every day, because the it's more than motivation. It's a belief. It's a belief.
It's the truth. It's the truth. The reason it makes you feel that way is it's the truth.
Some people think about this is motivation. No, it's motivation. It's the truth. It's
the truth.
Really works. Really works.
As the Bible says, the truth will set you free. And so, when you hide from the truth, when you resist the truth, you just make life hard. But when you accept the truth, it's like, okay, I know what I got to do. Let's go do it.
Stewart, let me ask you. Today, you are the president of a company that sells $800 million year. Okay, but you don't start here. So where you start, and how was your growing? You grow? How is that?
Well, so I started as a distributor in 1991.
But that was your first job, or?
Oh no, my first job.
Some.
I did. My career had 3 phases. All right. Number 1 phase, I was an investment guy. So I worked for 15 years on Wall Street.
15 years.
Yeah. So when I was about 35 years old, 36 years old, I was successful in the Wall Street investment world, but I was so burned out. I was just like, I mean, it was a job that when I was very young, it was like exciting. It was prestigious, but it didn't give you there was no psychic reward. I didn't feel good about what I was doing. I mean, all I was doing is helping rich people make money. There's something I mean, when I'm 35 years old and I'm making $100,000 a month, that was a lot of money, 34 years ago.
It's more,
right?
Than.
And so you look at that and you say, why couldn't you be happy? Well, I wasn't happy because I wasn't around the kind of people that care about people. I was like, gee, this is just, I mean, if I made a guy money, it was like, he never said thank you. And if I lost some money for somebody, they were on me like I was the devil himself, right? And so the reality of it is, you just looked at, and I remember I went back to New York over a situation that I was unhappy with the company about. They had brought a company public, and it was in fact, it was down there in your part of the world. It was a company called Atlantic Savings and Loan. Is that still in business? Atlantic Savings and Loan, a credit union type company.
Again.
Atlantic Savings and Loan.
Okay. No, no, I
Yeah,
don't.
it's probably still there. Maybe it's a different name now, but they brought this company public, and my clients and I bought millions of dollars of this company, and then it fell apart real quickly. And so I went back to New York to just raise all kinds of, heck with management over this, what I perceived as a failure on their part. And I remember going up the elevator. I'm down in Lower Manhattan, Wall Street area, and I'm going up the elevator, and I come out of the elevator. I mean, I'm in this spectacularly palatial Wall Street firm office space. It's beautiful, it's beautiful. And I walk out the elevator, and I walk over to where the offices are, and I see these two gray-haired guys at their desks screaming at each other. So they had to scream so loud that it would go out their office and in the next door to this guy. They're screaming at each other, even though there's a wall between them. And I thought to myself, that's me in another 30 years? I don't want this life. I don't want this life. And I was like, there's got to be another way. And one of my clients was Nu Skin. All right. So our competitor, they've gone on some hard times lately, but when they were my client and I was in that business, they were in a growth phase. They were like us. They were really growing fast then. And I knew the owners, great people. I knew some of the top distributors, great people. And I was thinking, why am I in this business? And those guys don't work any harder than I do. They don't even work as hard as I do. And they have so much more fun. And that's when I decided to get involved in this business. So I became a distributor then, and I did it for about 18 months. I was about 9 months part-time, and I loved it so much that I talked my wife into letting me go full-time, even though I wasn't making very much money. She was like, "This is crazy. You're going to do this stupid thing. You're making so much money." I mean, she's like any wife, right? She wanted me to take care of the family, right?
Yeah.
And so she says, this is like a hobby for you, but we don't make any money at this. I says, I promise you, if I can do it full time, we'll make money. And so anyway, the long story short is that I got started, and I, pretty
Just
soon,
in 18 months. Just in 18 months.
Well, 9 months full time, part time, and then 7 months full time. And then I realized that I wasn't really interested in skincare. That was all with Nu Skin, right? But Nu Skin, great company. I mean, at that time they were wonderful, and I still think the world of, the people who started that company. But I just didn't have any fire in my belly about skincare. I didn't care. I mean, I'm not Brad Pitt, and I'm never going to be Brad Pitt, right? So I don't care about skincare. I don't care about that kind of stuff. I'm not interested in how I look. I'm just interested in, how I function, right?
Okay.
And so when I found what became Unicity, they had balance. We called it Bios Life in those days, but it was effective on cholesterol. And that turned me on because I knew about the problems with heart disease because of my investing world, right? And so now that I had passion for that, and I just hit that ball as hard as I could hit it every time it came by me. And literally I was making $25,000 a month in 6-7 months of
Perfect.
full-time.
And how long you stay in the Unicity before buying the company?
Well, I joined Unicity August 15, 1991, and I bought the company in January 2006. The company,
15 years.
the company had been sold to the company was originally called Rexall, and they'd sold it to a big Dutch company, multinational company. This company bought GNC. They bought a bunch of different companies trying to get into the American nutritional industry. And they quickly realized that they had bought too high, paid too much for the American companies. And so the long and the short of it is they got rid of everything, and they sold off what was now called Unicity to a couple of employees. But it was so broken. The company had become so broken. It had gone from, 300-400 million in sales down to about 100 million in sales. It was
Wow.
really sick. And
So you take for understand well, you take the company for $3-4 million in sales.
oh no, it was the
I'm
company.
sorry,
The company was down to 100 million in sales when I bought it.
100 million. Okay.
Yeah, 100 million. So it was, but I mean, if you're doing 300-400 million and you go down to 100 million, you've lost a lot of your leaders,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're just gone. And so I had to try and get the leaders who were still with us to re-believe that we could turn the company around and that we could get ourselves focused on that we could be a distributor mindset company. And a lot of them believed me because they were my downline, right? And so they said, listen, Hughes, we'll give you a shot, let's see what happens. And so we went to work, and that was in 2006, 2007, 2008. 2009, we started growing bit by bit by bit. By 2010, we were flying, and everybody was jumping back on board. And 11, 12, we just kept getting big. And by 2015, I'm flying in private jets. The bottom line is, it was a hard. I didn't know whether I would succeed. I honestly didn't know, but I felt like I had to try. I mean, it was my downline that was being hurt. All the people inside the company, they had jobs, and they may have cared about the company, but if it failed, they would just go get a job with somebody else, right? But the distributors, if the company failed, would be wiped out. And so I felt like it was my moral obligation to buy the company. I didn't want to buy the company. Hey, Jesser, my life as a distributor was my favorite time of life. Those 15 years when I was a cyber, they are still, to this day, they are my favorite season of life. It was just so fun to be a distributor. Nothing to worry about. No headaches, no overhead, no employees, nothing. All I did was build my downline. All I did was be a teacher, a trainer, a motivator. I loved it. And it was the best time of my life. To this day, it's the best time of my life. Those years, 1991 through 2006, best years of my life. And so, am I happy that we bought the company and we were able to turn it around, and now it's many times bigger? I won't give numbers as the CEO because I have investment bankers bug me all the time. We're never going public. We're never selling the company. It's the family, and we're always going to be the family. And so the reality is we're very sensitive about our data, but you're right, our numbers are really strong. And so it's wonderful for that to be the case, but it still wasn't the funnest time of my life. The funnest time was when I was a distributor. And I just feel like, in fact, I was talking to one of our top executives who came to me not too long ago and said, listen, I think I want to be a distributor. And he says, what would you say if I quit and became a distributor? And I says, I would say, smart move. That's what I would say. I says, you're a talented guy. I will never pay you what you're worth as an employee. Never. If you as a business owner, you cannot pay employees what they're worth. You can't. Or you don't make any. You have to make money on an employee. Now, a distributor,
it's impossible.
Yeah, the distributor gets paid exactly what they're worth. You see, and that's what I loved about it. I didn't have to worry about anything. If I had a great month, I got paid great. If I had a bad month, I got paid bad. And it was on me, and I loved that. And I didn't worry. If I had a downline, had a great month, it was celebrate their success. If they had a bad month, well, guess what? You know why you had a bad month. Go to work, right? Get busy. And so it wasn't a situation like you had an employee. So I that's the story. And, here we are now, 2024. And it's been It's been a lot of years, but I still have the fire in the belly. I love it. I love the
Perfect.
company. I love the distributors. I love the product.
Yeah, I also have my product close to me every meet that I have. Tell me about your biggest challenge faced in your career, the bigger one, in that moment that you feel that you are really broke, mindset and money. So what?
Well, Jesser. I mean, the truth of it is, in a success journey, there will be many of those times, right? Where you hit the valley of despair, right? But the biggest one was when I bought Unicity. Because for 2 years, I had to put all my money in. I had to sell every asset that I could sell. I had to borrow on anything I couldn't sell. I had to go out and borrow money from friends, from family. I was on the hook for millions and millions and millions of dollars to buy this company. And if it failed, and I'm at 2006, that's what is that? That's 18 years ago. So I'm like 52 years, I'm 51 years old. I mean, if I go bankrupt and I'm in debt, millions and millions of dollars, how do I recover at the age of 52? And so there were nights, I will tell you, there were nights where I would wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, having slept for 2 hours, and I would have to just go vomit in the toilet. I was so sick.
Wow.
With fear, absolute fear, that I was going to wipe out my family, wipe out all the distributors who believed in me. And other times I would wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I would go over to the office and I would sit there in the dark with a notepad, trying to write ideas. What can I do? How can I make this work? What's going wrong? Why isn't this working? I can't tell you how many trips in those early years, because I thought Japan was going to be the thing that saved us, right? And so I was back and forth to Japan every 2 to 3 weeks. I was in Japan. I mean, I'm flying at the back of the airplane, my friend. This is not first class.
My wife told me about that. You speak about that in the method. My wife took the method and told me about that.
It was a painful time. I mean, it was a painful time because everything that you had was gone, and it looked like it may be gone forever. And not only that, your reputation would be gone. No one would trust you anymore. Yeah, it was there for 2.5, maybe 3 years. I can't tell you. I died 1,000 times. And so the reality of it is, it made me tough, right? Because we stayed in it and we ultimately succeeded. And so it's kind of like, I'll tell you, when I was in 2000, I was in the mountains in the winter, and I ended up having a situation where I was on snowmobile and I ended up getting stuck. I broke through some ice and my snowmobile went into the water. I couldn't get it out. I crawled all day that day. I had built a snow cave that night. I stayed in the snow cave to stay alive. The next day I crawled all that day, built another snow cave that night. I had no food. I had no water. You don't eat the snow, because I know that. I'm a mountain kid. I grew up in the mountains. So I know you don't eat the snow, because then you'll die sooner, because it cools your body down. And the next day I was dead. I was going to be dead. I mean, it was probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon of the third day, 2 nights, 13,000 feet elevation, snowpack, crawling on my hands and knees to try to keep moving, try to find my way to civilization. And I finally was rescued by search and rescue. The helicopter saw me, was flying over. And I was very close to death. I was seeing things. I was, I was only barely in and out of rational thought. So I was very close to death. And so when I would go out hiking with my kids after that, you know, we'd be hiking and they'd get tired and they'd say, Dad, I'm dying. Dad, I'm dying. And I would say, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I've actually been dying before, and it doesn't feel like what you're feeling right now. Trust me.
Wow.
You're
So-
not dying. And so when I look at that in this business world, having gone through those 2-3 years in the beginning of this purchase of this company, when people tell me, oh, we got this problem, I say, that's not a problem. Trust me,
Wow.
that's not a problem. And so I've become in a way a mentor myself, because when you go through the fire, when you go through the war, when you're a guy that's just been beat to hell, right? And dragged through the streets and you still survive, you know things that other people don't know, right? You know things about yourself and you know things about the world that other people don't know. And so it's very valuable. I wouldn't go back and change a thing, Jesser. I mean, it was hell, but I wouldn't go back and change a thing because it changed me. It made me tough, smart, resilient, and able to deal with it.
That is the next question. So it's necessary, that moment. Is
it necessary?
It's necessary.
It's necessary. It depends on what you want.
Okay.
If you want to go to the top of your mountain, you've got to have experiences that try you to the very limit, because you don't know what your limits are. And you will think they're much lower than they really are. But when you're in a position where everything is on the line, what you find out is that you're a far tougher person than you ever thought you were. But you don't know that until you go through the experience. And so if you, and so many people do this, they run away from those experiences. As soon as it starts getting hot, they want to take off. They want to move someplace else. They want to start something new. They want to get out of the fire. But the problem is, the only way to where you want to go is through the fire. You can't get there any other way. And if you start over someplace else, guess what? If you're a little bit successful, you'll get to the fire again. And then you quit and you go someplace else and you're a little bit successful, you'll come to the fire again. It's always through the fire. It's never, you can never get there. Anytime somebody, if I see somebody who's hyper successful, I mean, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, these guys we talk about, they all have gone through fires that would just blow our minds. They may not talk about them, but you know, and I know they've been through them, because that's what it takes. And you just have to decide, how much of that sandpaper can I take? How much of that buffing can I take? I mean, am I going to stay in there until that sandpaper just takes that first layer of my skin off? Because if I can hang in there long enough, I'll come out polished and smooth and smart and tough, and nothing will be able to stay the same when I'm there.
Wow, incredible and very inspiration history. Because like entrepreneur, I was a difficult moment in my life, and I think that Napoleon Hill speak about that in his book. Each dark moment have a seed of equal benefit. You know about
I
that.
know exactly what you're saying.
So if the moment is very, very dark, the seed of the benefit is more bigger. So you know about that. And I know about that also, but I need to remember. And each moment that I meet a entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, I remember that. And for me is a great moment, these moments. So talk about habits, daily habits that contribute to your personal and professional success.
So I have a little notebook that I carry with me. And in that notebook, I take all the notes of ideas that I have, of the commitments that I make. But I also have one sheet each week where I have drawn, I've got 8 characteristics that I focus on, and I grade myself every day 1, 2, 3. 1, the best; 2, average; 3, I really did badly. And then I've got 12 different metrics that I measure myself on. And so every day, at the end of the day, I will go down through the 8 characteristics. I will grade myself on them. And then I go down through the 12 activities, and I have a score that I score
Okay.
myself. And so I'm looking at these things. Now, that's a process of habit. So there are things that I study, and how well did I study them? There are things that physical things, there are mental things, there are emotional things, there are spiritual things. And I'm looking at these things because I want to be a multi-dimensional person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be just good in one dimension. And so but I've found that if you don't measure things, you can't grow them. You can't make them better. One of my mentors made this statement. He said, when we deal in generalities, we will never succeed. When we deal in specifics, we will very rarely have a failure. When performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported back to another person, the rate of improvement accelerates. And so,
Accountability.
exactly. So when you look at this, you realize if I haven't figured out what the key things I want are, and then if I'm not measuring them daily, I'm not getting better at them. So when I look at these characteristics like fortitude, acidity, equanimity, being courteous, being patient, being discreet, when I look at these characteristics, I will have good days and bad days. I
Mm-hmm.
will have good weeks and bad weeks. But every year, I'll be a little better than I was the previous year. When I look at the 12 activities that I measure, I mean, my whole focus on that is I look at every week and I contrast it with the week before. Am I getting stronger? Am I getting better at this? Am I improving? Because our human brains lie to us all the
Mm-hmm.
time. And
Mm-hmm.
they tell us we're doing better than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is when we think about something, it uses energy, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we get tired, but we just been thinking about it. We actually haven't done anything, right? We just been thinking about doing it. And so we have to be really honest. And I found that the only way I can be honest with myself is
Mm-hmm.
if I have a piece of paper and I'm actually calculating what's happening day by day by day by day. So if you were to come to my house, you would see, dozens of these little notebooks that I have kept over the years.
Wow.
And when you and I see each other, I will show you my notebook because I'll have it with me. I'll show it to you. You'll be able to see exactly each week how I have a new chart. And I make it. It's just a line notebook, and I just write down those 8 things, and then I write down those 12 things, and then I draw 7 lines. So I've
And
got Monday,
numbers.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I've got the goal for the week, and then I've got the outcome for the week.
But in numbers or in words?
I do it in numbers because numbers are quantifiable. That's
Okay.
why I grade the characteristics 1, 2, 3. 1 is an exceptional day. I was exceptionally X this day. The next day, I might not be so good. I might only be a 2, right? Now down on the 12 activities, I'm grading them specifically. How much zone 2 exercise did I get today? How much weight did I lift today? How much sleep did I get last night? I'm measuring all these things. If you want something to improve, you have to measure it.
And if you measure it, you can improve and you can change the result. I love it. I love it. Could I have, if it's possible, a little example, maybe a photo, or maybe for me to be clear about that, maybe if a exercise that I can also do it.
Let me walk over here and I'll show you a copy of a page. I've got my book right here. I'm at my cabin at Sundance right now.
Look
So
beautiful.
it's I'm working out of a. Alrighty. Here it is. Let's get back in a little better light here. Here's the book. Okay. And I just have a refill that I just put in whenever the book is completed. There's a refill. So here, for instance, is a page. So that was July 15th. Let's go look at, so here's this week. So this week's not yet done, so I haven't scored out the full week yet. And I've abbreviated these things because I don't want people to know what I focus on particularly. They should focus on their own things.
Okay, okay, I understand.
And so you see kind of where we are, right?
It's very simple. It's very, very simple. So it's good in because it's very simple. Just put all the topics that you need to focus and put the number in a scale that you desire. So it's very simple.
Very simple and totally adaptable to each individual's focus, right? Because what you're going to focus on may be some of the same things, but there's going to be a lot of different things that you're focused. I mean, you're at a different season of your life than me, and so you're going to have different goals than I've got with your life. I mean, mine have not stayed the same. I mean, the things on my goal and my metrics from 10 years ago are different than they are today.
And it's good because if you look the chart and you see that the number supposed to 1 to 10 in a scale to 1 to 10, and you see that in this objective you have 1 every day for a week, something happened, alert. So it's
well, maybe
visually,
not for a week. You might do that after 3 days. You might say, I got a problem here. I got a problem.
For example, for example, it's easy to see. It's easy to see.
Real time, every day.
To see and objectives.
That's right. To correct
objectives, because you see what you put some day before. So it's perfect. It's perfect. Beautiful. I like it a lot. So what the most common mistake you have seen entrepreneur make as they grow their business, and how can it be avoided?
I would think the number one mistake that I see people make is they give up too quick.
Oh, I see every day that.
Yeah.
Too quick. And how they can avoid that?
Well, that's why the method is so important. To be perfectly honest with you, the methods gives you many things, but the number one thing is it gives you desire. And when you have desire, you won't quit. So the reason people quit is they lose their desire. They lose their you wake up and it's like the people they go down there and they buy a gym membership because they're going to get in shape this year. And by January, 30th, they're not going to the gym anymore. Right?
Mhm.
They give up. The desire that they had on January 1st to get in shape and lose that weight and to look better and be more healthy, well, they got tired. They lost their desire. And so when I tell people, I mean, the method is every day, every day, every day, because the method, I mean, this morning, I'm doing my method this morning and I just got so jacked up again about my goals. And, here I am at this age. I mean, money doesn't matter to me anymore. It's like, who cares? I don't care about money. I want to win because I got this desire to win. And winning is to take the company to the next level, And all around me, all my competitors are falling apart. I mean, Herbalife's falling apart. New Skin's falling apart. USANA's falling apart. All these public companies are falling apart. And I know the private ones are too. I see we're getting people coming to our company every day, putting in their resume to work for us because they've been laid off at their company. And so I look at that and say, we're growing. Everybody else is dying because they've lost the vision. They've lost the vision. So we don't ever want to lose the vision because people give up when they lose their vision. That's
So
what happens.
So it's not about the money, it's about the win, the vision, the complete the vision.
The moment you stop having a vision that compels you, you're done. You're done.
And the last question for today, because I'm a very compromised that you remember that I told you that this meeting will be continued. So these 2 months, I was, restructure my strategies, but I have a vision and a goals. Okay, I talk a lot with Carolina. I have accountability with Carolina, and I know that the next month I will continue this meeting. So
well, I would love that if that happened. That would be good. I mean, you are a good interviewer. I think everybody that hears this call is going to be a little shocked because they're going to want to know about you instead of me. So next time we got to make sure we have your story in there. Okay.
Perfect. And let me ask you, what advice would you give to someone looking to take their business to the next level, but feel stuck?
Yeah, I think that number one is stuck is not a permanent thing. Stuck is sometimes just a message. It's a message that you need to change the way you're thinking about something. Okay. So when someone says I'm stuck or I've hit a plateau in my business, I'm stalled out now. I was growing, but now I'm stalled out. My attitude is, well, let's examine what's happening because I don't think this is about the goals not changed. It's still good. You are still good, but your strategy may need to change to adapt to the new environment that you're in. What helps you become a director will not take you to presidential director. It won't. What gets you to presidential director will not take you to diamond. You have to constantly evolve your strategic behavior to reflect your current environment. And when people get stuck at a rank, it's because they're trying to do the same stuff that got them to that rank instead of how to become more leveraged so that they can go to the next rank. You can't, I mean, between manager and director or senior director or even executive, you're just really being a good salesperson. But to get into the presidential ranks, you've got to become a teacher, a trainer, a motivator. And then to get into the diamond ranks, you've got to begin to inspire people and teach them how to teach. And so it really is a strategic adjustment. Every time you get stuck, it's really a signal that says you need to change your strategy. That strategy was good to get you here, but you need to find a different strategy to get you there.
Perfect. 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 I'm very appreciate. I'm very excited with this interview. I thank you a lot for your time. I appreciate that.
Well, you're a great young man, and I'm very happy to be involved with your success. I'm very impressed with you. You're doing some good things, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of what you're doing. So thank you very much, and
thank you
we'll
so
see
much.
you next time.
Thank you, Carolina.
And
Next
thank
time.
you, Carolina. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Ciao.